The Misadventures of Agnetha Deveaux. Episode 4, Smuggler's Gambit, written by Abigail Cluett.
Stop it! Stop it! I have to take these drinks to those customers by the window.
But I don't want to stop.
Chase!
What?
I'm serious. I've got to move.
Those old windbags can wait.
They are waiting. They've been waiting for 10 minutes. Okay, really, Chase, get off now. I have to... Oh, Elsie, hello. Termel's not here, I'm afraid. He's probably still at work. You can wait for him here if you like. I'll get you a drink in a moment.
I'm actually looking for Agnetha.
Oh, really? How come?
Family trouble. I need her help.
I see. She's upstairs in her rooms right now. I was just going to look in on her myself. Come on, I'll show you up.
Come in.
Elsie's here for you, Agnetha. You need anything while I'm here?
Nah, thanks.
I'd better get downstairs then. Give me a shout if you change your mind.
Hi, Elsie. Termel's not here at the moment if you're looking for him.
Actually, it's you I need to talk to. There's a bit of a situation I need your help with.
Right. Who needs punching?
No, nothing like that. It's my father. I'm worried about him.
Why? What's happened?
He's supposed to be in town for business and we were going to meet for lunch, but he never showed up. We'd been planning this for months and he wouldn't just forget. I've had a look around Varadou myself and he didn't make his morning appointment either or check into his hotel last night. He just disappeared with no explanation.
Is there anyone who'd know which way he's headed?
He came over on the company flagship. The sailors there would have kept tabs on him, at least until he left the docks.
No bodyguards?
No, he would never hear of it. Every time someone suggested it, he'd insist that he could take care of himself.
I see. Well, best way to start will be to retrace his steps. I'll head down to the docks right away and get started.
I'm coming with you.
Are you sure? It could be dangerous.
I can handle it. He's my father. I can't just sit idle while he's missing.
All right, then. Let's head out. So, can you think of anyone who would want your father out the way? Business, social life?
Nobody directly, but his business is so competitive it could be any number of people. Rival company, angry customer, some greedy robber wanting whatever they think he'll cough up to save his skin.
Sorry to have to ask this, but I need complete clarity to understand what's going on here. Does your father's business have any ties to crime? Organised or otherwise?
No, not at all. In fact, he started his business because of how corrupt the other import companies were. Rife with smuggling and theft, sailors pocketing whatever took their fancy. He thought the people deserved a company that they could rely on to be safe and trustworthy. We screen all our prospective clients carefully before any sort of deal is arranged with them, and our employees are all under strict anti-theft contracts with every tiny item accounted for at all times. We haven't had anything go missing in 5 years. Father's quite proud of it.
And your father never changed his stance on the subject?
No, never. Just last week I got a letter from him warning me to be vigilant around the new traders springing up near the waterside. He's heard through Josephinian contacts that quite a few of them have skeletons in their closets, literally or figuratively. The last thing we need is to accidentally set up a deal with some criminals and ruin our whole reputation.
A man with such a hardline anti-crime stance would put himself in the firing line quite easily if he irritated the wrong people. If there's one thing criminals can't stand, it's a do-gooder getting in their way. Believe me, I'm at the top of the do-gooder hit list.
But he never gets in the way of them. He just refuses to trade with them. He's no vigilante, just an honest businessman trying to do good work.
A lot of organised syndicates have an "if you're not with us, you're against us" policy. Perhaps he outright refused to work with one of them and angered them in the process.
But what doesn't make any sense is why he would go missing here. I run the Relian division of our company. Surely it's me they'd take it out on if they were cross with us.
That's a good point. Anyone you've refused recently?
Some of those traders, the one Father sent me the letters about, approached me about setting up a shipping deal. We haul their goods in our ships in exchange for a handsome sum on top of the hiring costs. But since I'd already been warned against them, I refused right there and told them to contact me again, if and when they had references with other companies to prove their legitimacy.
And how'd they take it? Not well, I'd imagine.
They seemed rather irritated. I thought one of them was on the verge of violence, but then they just walked away, so I put them out of my mind.
Interesting.
There are other shipping companies, ones with less reputation and more known ties to criminals. They'll have found someone else to haul their dodgy stuff by now. I would have smelled a rat even without Father's warning. Those men seemed far too rough and dangerous to be dealing in bloody silks of all things. It's gotta be about money. It always is with these scum. They prey on innocent people to line their pockets, take hostages, and extort everything from their families, who give everything just to get them back. Evil, robbing lowlives.
You won't have to give them a single penny, Elsie, I promise you.
I do hope not. It would go against everything Father built. The family business was built to take money back from all those criminals and put it into honest laborers' pockets where it belongs.
He sounds like a very honourable man, your father.
He is. He's always been my idol.
Do you recognise any of these ships?
That one on the end, the big one with the blue sails, that's the Carrack, Father's baby.
Whew, impressive boat that.
She was only finished last year. This was the maiden voyage. Father insisted on being on her when she sailed for the first time.
Understandable. The crew, they trustworthy?
Yes, they were handpicked from among Father's best men. He takes care of his employees like they're his family. I don't want to believe one of them would betray him.
I doubt any of them would, not with a decent wage and good working conditions. But the sad fact is, greed often means good people get stepped on, and if one man wanted more than his due, it could have turned his heart sour. Oi! Down here! Just need a word.
One moment, miss.
Why do people always call me miss? Do I look like a miss?
Well, yes. You're an unmarried woman. Technically, you're a miss.
How can I help you? Oh, hello, Miss Carrack. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Kev, but we've got a big problem. Father's gone missing.
You're joking.
No, I'm not. He didn't show up yesterday, so I went to look for him. He never made it to the hotel, and he missed his appointment with the Merchants Guild leaders.
Last I thought of him was yesterday evening. We docked. I offered to escort him to the hotel, but he refused, as usual. He hailed a carriage, and I helped load up his luggage, and off he went.
Which company did the carriage belong to?
Oh, Kev, this is Agnetha Deveaux, a private detective and a friend. Agnetha, this is Kev, one of my father's employees.
A pleasure, miss. And to answer your question, I believe it was the Black Carriage Company. Their office is...
Just down the boardwalk. Thank you, Kev.
I'd come with you, but I still got a lot of unloading to oversee. We've got a lot of trust riding on us, especially with all the thieves already poking around the area. We can't have any of our stock going missing. Our contracts specify the safety of the cargo as a priority.
Nah, I understand. Thanks for your help.
Let me know if you need anything later on. I'll be in the area until we sail back next week.
Thank you, Kev.
Oh, good afternoon. How can I be of assistance, ladies?
We're looking for a man who went missing yesterday in one of your cabs.
I'm sorry. I haven't heard any reports of that nature. I assure you I'd be among the first to know.
Did any of your cabs make a trip to Central Verdun late yesterday evening?
Well, I'll have a look in the books, if you'd just like to wait a moment.
This place seems rather shifty.
You think they're involved in Father's disappearance?
Nah, not that kind of shifty. Just the kind of shifty where they're lovely and polite to your face, but secretly they're judging you. And the moment you turn your back, they'll be smirking and side-eyeing each other. Then later, when you're gone, they'll be doing impressions and giggling over cheap coffee. That kind of shifty.
Almost everyone's like that when you're a dwarf. Once I had the most condescending contractor, who was meant to be renovating an old warehouse, get down on his knees to talk to me.
That's unbelievable. What did you do?
Well, he put his nether regions within my kicking range, so I took the shot and didn't miss.
Excellent.
Humans, honestly.
Tell me about it. Once I had a guy put carrots next to his ears to mock me.
Tell me you've got him.
Set fire to both carrots. His girly shrieks were very satisfying, as were the bald patches either side of his head. He learned an important lesson that day. Carrots are flammable.
Nothing bound for Central Verdun in the books, I'm afraid, ladies. You might check with Bertram out back. He never registers half his journeys. Come from before the ledgers became standard practice, and you never picked up the habit. I might have another word with him.
All right, we'll speak to him. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Excuse me, did you perchance take anyone to Central Verdun from the docks late yesterday evening? Dwarven man, came from a big ship with blue sails?
Not last night, I didn't. I was working the ambassador's ball practically all night, helping the drunk nobles get home, safe without any scandal. Not the high point of my career, I'll tell you.
Lady Bakerson and Sir Engel still having an affair?
Blatantly. I had to take Engel's paw over him in tears. He disappeared with Bakerson for a rendezvous at the butler's pantry. She'd heard the rumours about the affair, but didn't want to believe it. Kind of hard to dismiss the evidence of your own eyes, though.
She should seek a divorce. She'd get a good payout if the marriage dissolution is his fault. And Engel's name would be dragged through the mud for it.
Funny, I said the exact same thing to her last night.
And?
She said she'd consider it.
I hope she does, poor thing. What a cruel thing for him to do, especially in a social situation like that.
Engel is complete scum. I've said it from the beginning. Spoiled little rich boy with too much money and not enough brains.
Most definitely. Now, back to the subject at hand. You're looking for someone who went to Central Varadoon last night.
My father, he was supposed to be heading that way. His sailors saw him getting into a black carriage. They're sure it was one. But he never arrived at his hotel.
Ah, I see. Well, myself and Johansson were the only two on duty last night, and all of Johansson's trips would be in the ledger. Funny thing though, we're both working the ambassador's ball, so neither of us were anywhere near the docks before at least midnight.
The sailor we spoke to seems certain it was one of your carriages my father got into, and he's not one for getting details wrong.
Well, we have a monopoly on the area. It must have been one of ours, but not one of our drivers as far as I know.
Something you want to tell us?
Lately, there's been a rumour amongst the Black Carriage Company that people are operating fake services using a decoy carriage.
A decoy carriage, really?
Reports of a carriage doesn't quite match any we have in our yard, but with our paint job and our symbol on the sides. I haven't seen it myself, but Jacob swears he saw it on the main road, and since he knows every carriage inside and out, he'd be the one to know if it's fake. The man has been with this company since it started. We all assumed it was some rich ponds painting his carriage for a joke, but I have to admit, I have considered it might be more nefarious than that.
A fake cab? That is bizarre.
It's starting to get dark. You ladies need a lift. I'm off shift, but I don't mind one more trip. And you don't want to be around the docks once the sun goes down. Trust me. Drunken sailors are some of the least trustworthy people, especially for women.
Yeah, I think we better head home. We can plan our next step from there. A lift would be great, thank you.
There you two are. I've been looking all over town for you both. Charlotte said there's something wrong. What's going on?
My father's missing Termel.
Norman? But how?
Looks like he got into a fake cab at the docks last night. Disappeared somewhere along the route to Central Varadoon.
God, that's not good.
There's no way to know where he is now. He could be anywhere.
We'll find him. Somehow.
It'll be fine, Elsie.
But you don't know that. What if he's hurt?
They wouldn't hurt him if they need him.
You don't know that they do. For all we know, they could just be a bunch of murderers.
Trust me, Elsie. This is what I do. Your father's disappearance has all the hallmarks of a forced negotiation, which means they're holding him somewhere, likely somewhere near where he disappeared to in the first place. We'll comb the area and we'll find him. But first, we need to know what we're up against.
She's right, Elsie. Agnetha knows about these things. We will find him.
Come on, let's go to my rooms. I need to think things out.
Good idea.
So, this group you're telling me about, these so-called silk importers, had you heard from them or their company before then?
No, never.
New business then? Makes them much more likely to be a front for something far less legal.
That's exactly what I thought when I met them. They were rough types, not groomed or shaven, and their clothes were dirty and cheap. If they were actually silk merchants, then I'll eat my hat.
Careful. I had to eat a boot once for saying something like that.
You didn't actually eat the boot, you just hid it and said you did.
That's not the point. The point is I was expected to eat a sodding boot.
You shouldn't have made the bet then. I told you her hair was real.
Getting back to what's important. Do you remember any of their names?
The one who arranged the meeting was Ingram Bailey.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Hold on a moment. Here, this guy. Is this the guy?
Yes, that's him, except he has a beard and longer hair.
That's an old portrait. Ingram Bailey is an alias used by the leader of a smuggler gang. Particularly elusive bunch. I've rubbed them the wrong way a few times on cases. I know how they play the game.
You think they have father?
I do. And they don't take no for an answer. And they're not particularly kind people either. If you refuse them, they likely went over your head and are trying to get your father to agree to the deal.
But why? There are other shipping companies, ones who would actually agree to a dodgy deal like theirs with no questions asked. And why wait for him?
All of those companies are being cracked down on as the new smuggling laws come into effect. They need your company because they need your credentials, your spotless record. No one would even bother to check your cargo knowing your father's reputation.
So they're trying to force father into a trade deal?
Most likely, yes.
He won't do it. He'd rather die. He's such a stubborn man.
Which is admirable, but dangerous.
So what do? We gotta find him before he gets hurt.
They're hard to find, that's the problem. They never stay in one port too long and they're damn good at outrunning the law. What we need to do is have a look at the most recent estate records. See what they've sold around the dock area recently. Houses, warehouses. He'll be somewhere around the waterfront, because that's generally where smugglers keep their loot. Too risky to move further inland.
But all the agencies would be closed by now.
I know, I hate to say it, but we'll have to wait till tomorrow to keep searching.
I suppose.
He's a strong man, Elsie. He'll be all right.
Yeah.
They wouldn't kill him, they need him. And if they move him, we'll find out where he is. There's always a trail. In the meantime, let's get upstairs and see what else we can find out about Bailey and his gang.
Here we go. I've got Tracy on the bar, so I'm not needed downstairs for a while. Please try and eat something, Elsie, or at least drink some tea. Fretting on an empty stomach only makes it worse.
I couldn't, Charlotte.
She's right, love. You need to keep your strength up.
Termel, my stomach is in knots. I can't eat.
More tea, then.
Last I heard of Bailey, he and his gang were up north dealing in illegal bear pelts and wound up getting caught. Half of his men are still in prison. I wonder what he's doing in Varadoon, of all places. We're hardly the epicenter of smuggling industry.
Maybe that's their point.
Yeah, that does make sense. Use a famously reputable company to ship somewhere not really known for smuggling. It could work as a smokescreen if they're important something people will look out for. Something high value. Stolen, perhaps?
So they ship it here using Carrick Company, and then what? Smuggle it back out?
Road patrols have become famously lax over the past few years. The agency is desperately understaffed. All they need is a decent cover story, and they get out of Varadoon easily.
Whatever they wanted to smuggle must be of an incredibly high value if they're going to all this trouble to keep the law off their backs.
Agreed. Wait, I wonder.
What is it?
Here, the Empire Times from 2 weeks ago. 2 days before Elsie refused the shipping deal with Bailey. Look at the front page.
Lady Fulworth's prized jewels stolen. Late last night, Lady Narina Fulworth arrived home from a private function to find her window has been smashed and the entire contents of her jewellery chest was gone. Within the chest were many valuable jewels of all shapes and sizes, including several pieces that had been passed down the family line for generations, and were valued at over £20,000 each.
I remember hearing about that. Josephinian border guards are still searching any suspicious luggage or cargo for any signs of the jewels. Lady Fulworth's got half the Josephinian government in her back pocket. She'll do anything to get that jewellery back.
Which is exactly why Bailey and his gang have put so much into making this so-called silk shipment look as innocent as possible.
What, you think Bailey's people stole those jewels?
I do. I told you he got caught in his last venture. The fines he had to pay were huge. He'd be getting desperate to keep himself and his family in the life that they were accustomed to. He'd have to do something insane. Something with a huge payout.
Like stealing some of the most valuable jewels known to the people.
Exactly, and who better to smuggle it out of Josephinia than the Carrick Company, who famously had a spotless record and with who Lady Fulworth herself has had a personal relationship. Nobody would ever suspect Norman Carrick, of all people, to be involved in this.
So when Elsie refused the trade deal...
She shook their plan to the foundations. It's why they've taken Norman. And that's why they're so desperate to get this shipment approved. There's no other way to get these jewels across the ocean without getting caught.
So it's my fault.
Nobody's saying that.
You said yourself, your father wouldn't want you to take this deal. Whatever Bailey's doing, if your company was caught in the middle of this operation, the outcome would be far worse. Fines, lost deals, your family name would be dragged through the mud. Trust me, you made the right decision turning them down.
So where do you think Bailey would take these jewels?
More and most likely. Booming trade down there for stolen valuables, thanks to all the pirates in their sea.
And nobody would suspect an innocent-looking carriage with all those terrifying pirates in their galleons.
Precisely. This plan could have been foolproof if it were not for the Carrick's nose for crime.
Either way, they still have my father and they'll run out of patience eventually.
A visitor? At this time of night? How odd.
Forgive me, is Miss Deveaux here?
Gev, what brings you down this way at this hour?
I was walking home from the Crow's Head and I heard yelling coming from inside one of the nearby warehouses. The thing is, I swear on me mum's life, one of the voices was Mr. Carrick.
So I was right, he never left for docks.
So all this time we were searching around there, he was nearby?
Looks that way. Problem is, those docks are so dense it would have taken us 2 days to find him by scouring the place. Kev, do you know which warehouse the voices were coming from?
I do.
Right, I'll head out now. No time to waste.
I'll come too. Elsie, stay here with Charlotte.
No way, I'm coming with
Elsie,
you.
it's too dangerous.
I can handle myself, Termel. I'm not some sad little maiden in need of rescuing. Those men kidnapped my father, and I will be there to make them pay for it.
Let her come, Tomel. She's got a point. Plus, I've always wanted to see her fight someone. She's quite good at it.
I'll help in the fight too. Mr. Carrick has always been good to me and my family, and now it's time for me to return the favor. If we could make a quick stop at the ship, I know several of the other boys who would all be too happy to help.
Right then, let's hit the road.
So how do we play this?
I've got a plan. All the warehouses on the east side of the docks have a front and back door. If Elsie and I come in the front, we can cause a distraction.
I don't want to put Elsie in harm's way.
I'll be fine, Termel.
They'll be expecting Elsie. they'd have anticipated she'd be looking. Plus, I'll be here to protect her. Now, while we cause a distraction, you, Kev, and your boys slip in the back door and scour the building. Find Mr. Carrick and get him out of there.
Sounds simple enough.
Yeah, but the best laid plans are rarely so simple in practice. So, just make sure your boys are ready for a fight. Bailey and his crew are desperate. They won't let go of Mr. Carrick so easily. He's the only hope they've got of getting those jewels over the border without inspectors finding or confiscating them.
Do you anticipate a fight?
I always anticipate a fight, Termel. The one who doesn't is the one who gets killed.
Cheery.
Just whatever you do, don't underestimate what a group of desperate criminals are capable of.
Look, a carriage. And that's Father's trunk on the back. See the family crest.
I see it. This carriage. It's been painted to look like one of the black carriage companies, just like the driver said. Very convincing fake, but wrong model. BCC only use Dachshund, and, well, I'm not sure what this is, but it's not a Dachshund.
Does look rather cheaply made. Perhaps some sort of knockoff.
Most likely. Plus, look at the carpet. It's loose. See, I can just pop these compartments right open. And the seats, too. This old butte is used for smuggling cargo through the inner cities. They were going to use this to smuggle the Jews to Morn.
But don't public carriages need registration numbers?
They'll have one, either fake or stolen. But the carriage inspectors have too much on their minds to track down every registration number to check to see if it's legitimate. So, as long as they have one and it doesn't look fake, they'll let it through.
That's ludicrous.
It is, but it's got me out of a scrape or two. So, I'm not going to be the one lobbying to fix it.
So does this mean Father's still nearby?
Yep, all the local pubs are still full at this hour. Too many people could notice something's off. First rule of smuggling, don't be suspicious.
We have to find him.
Oops, looks like Kevin the boys beat us to it.
Tamel, look out!
Excellent tackle, Elsie. Beautiful form.
I think this one's knocked out.
Good thing, too. Who brings a crossbow to a warehouse brawl?
Get your damn hands off of me.
Well, well. Ingram Bailey himself.
Damn you, elf.
Sorry, sir, but your plan's gone south, which means you won't be.
Do you have any idea who I am?
A jumped up crook who won't take no for an answer. I told you, Bailey. Carrick Company will not work with the likes of you. Not ever.
You'll pay for this, you little...
That was for my father.
Excellent shot, Elsie.
Thanks. Father, is that you? Father, are you all right?
I'm fine, my child. Just bumps and bruises. These old bones have some strength in them yet. How'd you find me?
It wasn't me. It was my friend, Father. This is Agnetha Deveaux. She's a detective. She's the one who tracked you down.
Indeed. Then I owe you a great deal, my dear. Termel, good to see you again, lad. And the boys from my ship, here to rescue an old man.
Well, we weren't just gonna let him have you, sir. It's like you said when you hired me. We take care of our own.
Quite right, too. You'll all be richly rewarded for this, mark my words. For now, return to the ship and tell the cookies to open a good brandy for you all. Thank you, sir.
What happened, Father?
From what I understood, listening to those men's drivel while tied up in that damp little room over there, is that this particular gang have managed to come into possession of some particularly valuable stolen jewels. The shipping deal with us would have allowed a large shipment of silks in which they intended to hide the jewels. As a company as reputable as ours would never fall under suspicion, and thus the inspectors wouldn't be as thorough.
Aye, I deduced as much. Poor old Lady Fulworth's jewels stolen as a last-ditch attempt at getting rich after their illegal fur business went bust last year.
I still don't understand why they wanted to use our company so badly, though. We aren't the only reputable shipping company, nor the only ones with friends in the government. In fact, there are others who would make inspectors look the other way with far more ease than we could.
Indeed, but their plan centered on the use of ours. They'd already sunk money into it, buying this warehouse near the private docking port, buying their silks from our warehouses back in Josephinia. When you said no to the shipment deal, my girl, you rather threw a spanner in the works for 'em. Not that I'd ever blame you, of course. I would have done the same thing. You've always had the nose for a bad egg, just like your father.
So, when Elsie said no, they tried to go over her head, I'm guessing.
Precisely. I got into that damnable carriage thinking it was a cab. Next thing I know, I'm tied up in the warehouse with them pushing bits of paper at me and shouting for me to sign. I refused, of course. I wouldn't risk my company's reputation on anything. So they knocked me about a bit, trying to intimidate me. Didn't bloody work, though. I may be old, but I'm not so easily frightened. Especially not by a bunch of desperate thieves.
I heard you shouting, so I knew it was you.
Kevin's been invaluable, Father. He came and got us, gathered the boys together. Without him, we might not have found you.
Always knew you were a good lad, Kevin. I'll have to find a better position for you in my crew. I need a good man at my side.
Well, thank you, sir.
Now, to business. Elwood, Rockford, go fetch some constabulary, will you? There's enough evidence here to put these 6 away for the rest of their lives. As for you, my dear detective, I don't suppose you'd join Elsie, Turmel, and I for a bit of supper, would you?
Love to, sir. I know just the place.
Tea, Mr. Carrick.
I'd love some, my dear.
So it was Lady Falworth's jewels at the heart of all of this, then?
Yep, the last desperate bid from a failing crime lord. He had his people in Josephinia take the jewels one night while the lady was out, and they were supposed to be en route to Varadun within a week, but of course, Elsie saw straight through their pretense and refused the deal. So the jewels are probably still in Josephinia.
I will write to the Josephinian Guard tomorrow to tell them what happened here, and advise that they comb any properties connected to Bailey and his gang. Doubtless the jewels will turn up somewhere. Then poor old Lady Fulworth will have her mother's jewelry back.
I'm sure she'll be very grateful to get it all back.
Indeed, indeed. Being robbed in any form is always a saddening experience, but to lose such treasured family heirlooms... The dear woman was quite beside herself when I left the city.
So you will be heading back to Josephinia yourself now, sir?
Oh, no, not for a while yet. I still have some catching up to do with my dear daughter and her heroic fiancé, and I would much like to get to know Miss Deveaux as well. Learn about some of her cases.
Fathers always love crime-fighting stories.
Well, I could think of a few you might enjoy, sir.
Delightful. But for now, I think we could all do with a good rest. It's been an eventful start to the trip, and I, for one, am absolutely exhausted. But, if I may, while I'm here, offer you all an invitation to the party at the Merchant's Ball next week. With Bailey gone, the other smugglers will have taken a demoralizing blow, and I think that's something we can all celebrate.
That sounds lovely, Father.
Aye, Merchants Guild are always a good laugh.
Well then, I best head off. I do hope the hotel kept my room ready. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
The Misadventures of Agnetha Deveaux, written by Abigail Clewett, starring Liz Corrick as Agnetha, Holly Gregg as Elsie, Royce Pendergast as Turmel and Norman, Jake T. Hodgetts as Ingram Bailey and the cab driver, Joshua Law as Kev, Mary Butler Cole as Charlotte, Aaron Beck as Chase, Benjamin Rossiter as Russ, Jamie Van Dyke as the desk clerk. Theme music, the copyright of Matt Harris, produced by City Park Radio, Bent Eared Records, and Rabid Dog Productions, 2018.